When I first started sketching or designing dresses, my name didn't really come up. I didn't have any thought about it. It was just something that was given to me by my parents, and I didn't really directly correlate it to my craft. With respect to my background, I was very lucky to have a grandmother that exposed me to creativity really early in life. So she taught me how to sew, she taught me how to crochet and knit. We were always baking in the kitchen, and I kind of grew up a typical 90s kid. I loved Disney princesses, I was a gymnast, so I loved performance and sparkly leotards. So I think I was really exposed to a culmination of these elements that really turned me on to dress design, specifically wedding dresses. In my early days, when I used to just be playful and see where my creativity took me, I didn't really think much of it. It was just something I fully enjoyed, and I found myself feeling like myself as I was doing it. And it didn't really register early on that this could be a viable profession. In fact, I didn't even really get that confidence until my college experience. So for me, design and sewing and making my own, prom dresses and just being in love with wedding dresses was just a innate, diehard passion that luckily I never put down. I can't recall if there was an exact moment I had in college where I was like, light bulb on, I'm gonna be a wedding dress designer. I just knew that it was my dream to one day do this for my life. And I think I'm just somebody that really benefited from a very robust and regimented college experience, and just understanding how my artistry could really transform into a career path. And every artist and designer is different in how they approach their craft. But for me, I really put the passion in a different category than, pursuing it for a career path.
All right, we do want to turn now to that fashion face-off. Wedding dress designer Hayley Paige is in an increasingly common fight over the rights to her own name and her social media accounts with the company that backed her brand for years.
Her announcement following a lawsuit filed by JLM Couture, the company that backed her brand over much of the last decade. The lawsuit claiming that the company owns her social media account.
If you receive a like, comment, message, see a post on my original account from December 16th on, please know that it is not me. It is someone from JLM Couture. What's more, JLM is demanding the right to permanently use my name in the promotion of their products, even after we are no longer working together. And they are trying to prevent me from using my own birth name in any business whatsoever indefinitely. I look forward to talking with you again soon. And the last thing I'll say is that I will find a way to share my creativity and my work with you in whatever capacity I am able. And my best work is ahead of me. Thank you.
There's no way it could possibly be forever. My name was something where I really had to depart from because I actually thought I would never get my name back. But I knew in a matter of years down the road, I would be able to design dresses again. It would just take a really long time to get there. So I needed to find something to do in the interim. And then with the social media aspect of it, I just started a new Instagram. I just started rebuilding. And yeah, it really sucks to have to do that, in that you want to communicate with people, you want to make sure they know what's going on, you want to be thoughtful of the fact that you're in a lawsuit and you don't want to get in bigger trouble for what you say, and be respectful of that process. And so, I did the absolute best that I could to be transparent. But ultimately, it was on me to decide what I was going to do next, and I didn't want circumstances to be in the driver's seat. And the other element of it that was really tricky was that I spent every dollar that I ever made designing dresses to basically fight for my ability to design dresses again. And when you're operating from a financial deficit, And so I really had to, get the psychology under wraps to make sure that I was putting one foot in front of the other. And ironically, that meant, going into shoe design because that was a non-competitive category for me. And then also coming up with a new name for myself that was exciting and kind of felt like a reinvention. And so cheval, which is the French word for horse, felt like the perfect moniker during that time. And there was a moment during the lawsuit where I just kind of had a horse with no name on repeat because there was a fun little parody in what was going on in my life with this song. And I used to smile just listening to it. And then I'd also say too, the word cheval is actually a masculine pronoun in the French language. And I liked that it had that strength and masculinity behind it. But what I do for a living is so feminine. So I liked kind of having that harmony between two different, sensibilities. And I also love that shoes are something that carry you forward. You physically put them on, you walk the walk. And so there was a bit of empowerment in that as well. The reality of the preliminary injunction that I was under was very extreme in that I could not design wedding dresses. I could not do anything promotional for wedding dresses. And there was a moment in which I was actually found in contempt of court for sketching wedding dresses on social media. When I was invited to testify in front of the US Senate, it was post-settlement, which was really poetic because I was allowed to share my full story from start to finish and be an example for why banning non-competes is a good idea for businesses and for employees. And so I was able to speak on non-competes from the perspective of not just being a victim of a non-compete, but also a small business owner who wants to protect her IP and establish boundaries and confidentiality clauses and do everything that a business deserves to do. And it also was just a really big moment that I felt like I had kind of survived and that I was kind of able to speak on my story with a very clear lens and not speak from the trauma of it, because your relationship to your story changes, especially in how you're feeling and how you're living your life. And it's one thing to speak on something while you're actually going through it.
So to that, long live fair competition and let the girl design a dress.
What is next is thousands of dream dresses need to be made and we need to make up for lost time. So I've just been really honing in on development and sourcing and rebuilding my catalog. And we've got an incredible trunk show tour on the docket. So I'll be traveling and interacting with brides again one-on-one, which is so exciting. And, just picking back up from where we were, but also with a new sensibility and some lessons learned, like a little hint of defiance for sure. But definitely a lot of sparkle. I see sparkle on the horizon for sure. I guess my other piece of advice is to not think of reinvention like you're abandoning yourself. Because when you go through a period of life where you just feel broken or you feel like something has fallen apart, you're still left with so many good pieces that have been on the journey with you. And the rebuild is so fun because you get to kind of pick those strongest pieces. And that's really what I feel like I got to do with Cheval. And then in bringing Hayley Paige back is I get to kind of cherry pick now and decide what I want to carry with me and what I want to leave behind. And, if you're lucky enough to meet some pretty cool people along the way, they'll help you unpack and repack. So that's been my experience.